So GameStop announced the pricing of their 0% convertible notes. It was just a day after announcing the issuance of these notes. So we're going to go ahead and dive into it here today. So the initial conversion rate was determined to be approximately 33 and a half shares of stock per $1,000 of principal for the convertible notes. This equates to a conversion price of roughly $29.85 per share. So GameStop cannot redeem, essentially buy back, the notes prior to April 6th, 2028. So starting on April 6th, 2028, GameStop can choose to redeem some or all of the notes, but only if a specific condition is met. The condition: stock price must be at least 130% of the conversion price for at least 20 trading days within any 30-day period. So essentially, the price is obviously going to be volatile, but if it's 130% of the conversion price over a 30-day trading period, they will have the right to go ahead and redeem those notes. So 130% of the conversion price is $29.85 times 1.3, which gives you $38.81. So if this occurs, they can choose to redeem some or all of the notes. It's really up to their discretion. However, the note holders, right? Let's look at their side of the coin here, can convert anytime prior to January 1st, 2030 if the 130% condition is satisfied. Between January 1st and April 1st, they don't have to worry about this condition. They can go ahead and convert at any time of their choosing. So to use an example, just to clarify it, if the year is 2027, stock moves up aggressively, right? It's on a run of some kind. Bitcoin's moving up and that's moving the price up, or there's some other, unforeseen events like we've seen in the past with GameStop. So if it's floating in the 40 for a couple weeks and it satisfies that requirement of 20 out of the last 30 trading days over that price of $38.81, and then let's say once that's satisfied, they go ahead and convert it, and it's at price of $45 per share. The note holder will convert, and at that point, GameStop can choose: do they want to pay cash $1,507.67 for that $1,000 of principal, and the note holder would make over 50%, or do they want to give them shares? We rounded up before saying 33.5, but it's exactly 33.497. So that would be about 1,500 worth of stock. Or GameStop could say, all right, we're going to give you the 1,000 in cash back, and here's 11.6 shares. So it's really up to GameStop how they want to go about it. Once the holder of the note tells them, hey, we want to convert, but they can only tell them they want to convert once that 130% number is reached, which is that 38.81 number, and again, has to be for 20 out of the last 30 trading days. So if GameStop's share price stays below $29.85, the note holders get their $1,000 back, requiring purchase on April 3rd, 2028 or after, or they can just wait to maturity, which is April 1st, 2030. So that essentially means that there's very limited risk for those buying the notes. The worst case scenario is they get their money back. In this scenario, we're using just $1,000 just as a base number. So they would get their $1,000 back. So at that point, they haven't really lost on anything besides opportunity costs, where they could have maybe put it somewhere else. However, if it works out, in their favor, and one of these three situations play out, right, whether it's shares, they get cash back, or a mix of both, it will be at a greater price point. So it's basically like getting them exposure to Bitcoin, but with a very limited downside, because they're looking at GameStop and saying, hey, they have a very strong balance sheet, and ultimately we will get our money back, unless some bizarre scenario shows up where the company goes bankrupt, which if you read their financial statements, I highly doubt that's happening. If the stock tanks to $15, conversion's worthless, but the note holders get their money back. Overall, low risk, high reward opportunities for those buying the convertible notes. And what I think went down here when we saw the stock price drop sharply after hours, after the announcement of what was taking place, and then very much whole lot more on Thursday, I think that was those who were buying the notes were going and shorting the stock because they were trying to drive down the conversion price, because they knew the conversion price would be based upon what the stock was trading at and that the offering was about to close. So officially, it's completed on April 1st, 2025, which will be this Tuesday coming up. But, only a day later, the pricing was announced. So to me, that would imply that there's demand. Typically this is kind of how MicroStrategy is going about things, just for reference. Really the best thing you can do if you want to learn more is look at what MicroStrategy has been doing. This offering is nearly identical as far as I can tell. But yeah, overall, I think they had a pretty good earnings report. The thing with GameStop is too, yes, they've been losing revenue and they've been closing a bunch of stores, right? As I have some information on the screen here about that now. However, you can see their net income continues to improve, and they've made it crystal clear that they're going to prioritize profitability at all costs for the operating business. So they have this speculative side of what they're doing now in terms of like acquiring Bitcoin, and they're doing it by borrowing someone else's money. And then for the operational business, they'll continue to generate cash flow based on that. So it's going to be a real interesting next few years, in my opinion. I mean, the past few years have been interesting. Anything with GameStop's interesting. I think it's a wild ride, but I'm excited to see how this all plays out. And I think operationally, the bottom line will continue to improve. And I don't think this will be the last of its kind in terms of the offering we're seeing right now. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.